When men cross the age of 50, a lot of health questions start to come up. One of the biggest is about masturbation. Some men avoid it because they think it's unnecessary or even harmful. Others do it out of habit, but wonder if it's still good for them. The truth is, there are very real effects on the body if you stop completely, especially when it comes to circulation, hormone balance, and prostate health. Let's break this down step by step in plain language so you know exactly what's happening inside your body. First, let's talk about circulation. Blood flow is the foundation of sexual health, and it's also one of the keys to overall vitality. Erections are basically a blood flow event. When blood vessels relax and expand, more blood enters the penis, giving you a firm erection. Now here's the thing. Regular arousal and release actually help keep these blood vessels active. Think of it like exercise for your circulatory system. If you stop completely, the vessels may become less responsive over time. That means weaker erections, slower response, and even reduced confidence. For men over 50, where circulation is already under pressure from things like cholesterol, blood pressure, or diabetes, this can make a big difference. Now, let's bring hormones into the picture. Testosterone, the main male hormone, is closely tied to sexual function. Research shows that regular sexual activity, including masturbation, helps keep testosterone levels more stable. When men abstain completely, testosterone can drop more easily, leading to fatigue, reduced muscle mass, and lower mood. It doesn't mean you'll lose all your energy overnight, but over weeks and months, the body adjusts. Cortisol, the stress hormone, can also creep up when sexual release is missing, and this creates an imbalance. High cortisol plus low testosterone is a recipe for tiredness, less drive, and even more belly fat. That's not just about intimacy, it's about overall health and how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Now we come to the prostate. This is one area where myths and reality often get mixed up. The prostate is a small gland just below the bladder, and it plays a big role in producing semen. When you ejaculate, the prostate is flushed, so to speak. Studies suggest that regular ejaculation may help lower the risk of prostate problems by keeping the gland active and reducing the buildup of fluids and old cells. If you stop completely, the prostate may become more congested, and that could contribute to discomfort, inflammation, or a higher risk of certain conditions later on. It doesn't mean every man who avoids masturbation will develop prostate trouble, but the research strongly points to regular release being protective. It's also important to mention that after 50, many men start experiencing an enlarged prostate, a condition known as benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. This can make urination more difficult and sometimes painful. Regular ejaculation might support smoother prostate function, reducing some of that pressure. So when men cut it out entirely, they may miss a simple, natural way to keep the gland healthier. Another angle is pelvic floor health. These are the muscles that support the bladder, prostate, and sexual organs. During sexual activity and orgasm, these muscles contract and release in a powerful way. That action is like a workout for the pelvic floor, keeping it stronger. Without it, the muscles may weaken faster with age, which can affect bladder control and sexual response. So even here, masturbation is not just about pleasure, it's about muscle tone and function. One more thing that doesn't get talked about enough: circulation and the heart. When you engage in sexual activity, your heart rate goes up, blood vessels expand, and your body gets a mini cardiovascular workout. Over time, skipping this activity means one less way your body is reminded to keep blood moving well. And remember, after 50, heart health and sexual health are deeply connected. Many doctors even call erectile dysfunction an early warning sign of heart disease. So let's connect the dots. Not masturbating doesn't just affect intimacy, it impacts your circulation, your hormone levels, and your prostate health. Each of these areas is critical for men over 50 because this is the stage of life where you want to protect your strength, your independence, and your confidence. Now, does this mean you must masturbate every day? No, not at all. Moderation is key. Too much can create its own set of problems, which we'll cover later, but complete abstinence is not the healthiest choice either. Think of it like exercise. You don't need to run marathons, but if you never move your body, the muscles and blood vessels weaken. The same is true here. Regular release helps maintain balance, while avoiding it altogether may slowly chip away at the systems that keep you strong and vital. So here's the bottom line for Section 1. When men over 50 stop masturbating completely, they may notice weaker circulation, lower testosterone, and more prostate challenges over time. It's not about shame or old myths. It's about biology. Your body is designed for regular function, and keeping that system active is one of the simplest ways to protect your health as you age. In the first part, we looked at the physical side: circulation, hormones, prostate, and even pelvic floor muscles. But health is not just physical. After 50, mental and emotional well-being can be just as important. In fact, for many men, what happens in the mind often affects the body even more than they realize. Now, let's look at what happens emotionally and mentally when a man stops masturbating altogether, and why this can have ripple effects on energy, mood, and even daily motivation. Let's start with stress. Every man knows that after release, the body feels calmer. That's not just imagination, it's biochemistry. When you reach orgasm, your brain releases oxytocin and dopamine, two chemicals that promote relaxation and satisfaction. At the same time, cortisol, the stress hormone, tends to drop. That means less tension in the muscles, slower heart rate, and a clearer mind. But if you cut masturbation out completely, the body loses one of its simplest, most natural ways to reset stress. Over time, that can make you feel more on edge, less patient, and more easily overwhelmed by everyday problems. Now let's connect this to sleep. After 50, many men already struggle with falling asleep or staying asleep. Hormonal changes, prostate issues, and general aging can all disrupt rest. Ejaculation can actually help improve sleep because of the release of calming brain chemicals and the drop in stress hormones. When men avoid it entirely, they may notice more restless nights, tossing and turning, or waking up earlier than they'd like. Poor sleep then feeds into the next day's mood, energy, and focus. It becomes a cycle. No release, less sleep, more stress. Confidence is another key factor. For men, sexual health is strongly tied to self-image. Masturbation may seem private, but it plays a role in maintaining a sense of masculinity and vitality. When a man stops completely, he may feel less connected to his own sexuality, and that can lower confidence not only in the bedroom, but in daily life, at work, with friends, even in how he carries himself. It's not about being young again. It's about staying connected to the parts of yourself that make you feel alive. Without that, some men begin to see themselves only through the lens of age and decline. That mindset can speed up the emotional side of aging. Mental focus is also affected. Regular sexual release increases dopamine, a chemical linked to reward and motivation. Without that natural boost, some men feel less driven, less sharp, and even less interested in new activities. Over weeks and months, that can lead to what feels like slowing down, but much of it is the absence of healthy stimulation for the brain. Dopamine is like a spark plug. It keeps you curious and engaged. Without it, the brain leans toward fatigue and boredom. Let's not forget mood. Depression and anxiety can creep up in midlife, especially when retirement, health changes, or loneliness enter the picture. Studies have shown that sexual activity, including masturbation, is linked to lower rates of depression in men. Why? Because of the balance of chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine that come after release, when men stop completely, they may feel flat, less joy, less laughter, and even less interest in new activities. It's not a cure-all, but it's one tool that the body naturally provides to keep your mood steady. Another overlooked benefit is emotional release. For many men, masturbation provides a private outlet for tension, frustration, and even sadness. Life after 50 can bring stress from finances, family, or health concerns. Without any outlet, these feelings can build up inside. Over time, that can make you irritable, withdrawn, or easily upset. It's not just about desire, it's about pressure release for the mind as much as the body. There's also the question of loneliness. Not every man over 50 has a partner, and for those who do, intimacy might not be as frequent as it once was. Masturbation can provide a sense of connection to oneself, a reminder that you are still capable, still alive, still in tune with your body. Without it, loneliness may feel sharper, and self-esteem may slip. Men sometimes underestimate how important it is to feel in touch with themselves in this way. It's not just physical, it's emotional fuel. Now, I want to make something clear. This doesn't mean you must masturbate daily to stay happy. Balance matters. Too much can actually cause guilt, fatigue, or distraction, especially if it replaces other healthy habits. But complete abstinence cuts off one of the simplest tools your brain and body have for staying balanced. Think of it like skipping meals. You can miss one or two and be fine, but if you stop eating altogether, your energy and mood crash. Sexual release works in a similar way. It nourishes your emotional health. So let's put it together. When a man over 50 avoids masturbation completely, he may feel more stressed, sleep less, lose confidence, and struggle with mood or motivation. These are not just small issues. They directly affect quality of life, relationships, and even physical health. Emotional well-being is a powerful part of longevity, and this is one area where men have more control than they realize. And remember, this doesn't mean you must masturbate daily to stay happy. Balance matters. Too much can actually cause guilt, fatigue, or distraction, especially if it replaces other healthy habits. But complete abstinence cuts off one of the simplest tools your brain and body have for staying balanced. Think of it like skipping meals. You can miss one or two and be fine, but if you stop eating altogether, your energy and mood crash. Sexual release works in a similar way. It nourishes your emotional health. So, let's put it together. When a man over 50 avoids masturbation completely, he may feel more stressed, sleep less, lose confidence, and struggle with mood or motivation. These are not just small issues. They directly affect quality of life, relationships, and even physical health. Emotional well-being is a powerful part of longevity, and this is one area where men have more control than they realize. And remember, this is not about shame. It's about balance. The body is built for function, and ignoring that function altogether can chip away at your mental sharpness, emotional strength, and even your confidence in facing each day. We've talked about the physical consequences and the emotional impact, but now let's take a step further. What happens if a man over 50 continues for months or years without any form of sexual release at all? The answer is not simple. It's a mix of long-term health risks, shifts in hormones, and changes in overall vitality. But the good news is there's also a clear path to balance, and that's what we'll explore here. First, let's talk about the prostate. The prostate gland is a small organ, but it plays a major role in men's health. Research suggests that regular ejaculation may help reduce the buildup of toxins and inflammatory agents in the prostate. In fact, some studies have shown that men who ejaculate more frequently have a slightly lower risk of developing prostate issues later in life. When you stop completely, the gland doesn't get that natural flushing process, and while it doesn't guarantee a problem,
it does increase the chance of congestion and discomfort. This is why many urologists recommend maintaining some level of regular activity, even if it's just once or twice a week. Now let's connect that to circulation. Over time, reduced sexual activity can lead to weaker blood flow in the pelvic region. Blood vessels, like muscles, respond to use. If they're not used often, they lose some of their elasticity. That means slower arousal, weaker erections, and sometimes even reduced sensitivity. This isn't just about intimacy, it's about circulation and overall vascular health. Men who keep their blood flowing well, even through simple acts like masturbation, tend to maintain healthier arteries and stronger cardiovascular function. Another long-term effect is hormonal balance. Testosterone naturally declines after 40, but sexual activity helps keep levels steadier. When men avoid sexual release completely, testosterone can dip lower, and with it comes fatigue, muscle loss, weaker bones, and sometimes even more belly fat. On the other side, balanced activity helps the body keep testosterone circulating, supporting energy, strength, and confidence. It doesn't mean you'll have the levels of a 20-year-old, but it helps slow down the drop.
Now, let's think about relationships. Even if you don't have a partner, how you relate to others is shaped by how you feel inside. When men ignore their own sexual health, it often makes them more withdrawn. Over time, this can lead to isolation. Some men even begin to feel embarrassed, as if their sexuality no longer matters. But here's the truth. It always matters, no matter your age. Staying connected to your body keeps you more open, more engaged, and more confident in every part of life. There's also brain health to consider. Sexual activity stimulates the release of dopamine, which supports focus and memory. Without it, the brain gets fewer bursts of stimulation. That doesn't mean you'll lose your memory overnight, but over decades, it can add up. Remember, the brain is like a muscle too. Use it, and it stays sharper. Ignoring it makes it dull. Sexual health is one of the many ways to keep the brain alive and active, especially in later years. At this point, some men might be asking, so does this mean I should be doing it every single day? And the answer's no. Too much can cause its own problems, like fatigue, loss of focus, or even guilt if it interferes with daily life. Balance is key. For most men over 50, a healthy rhythm might be once or twice a week, enough to keep circulation, hormones, and mood balanced, without draining energy or becoming excessive. Practical habits also matter. Exercise helps improve circulation and testosterone naturally. A balanced diet, rich in zinc, magnesium, and healthy fats, supports sexual function. Sleep, hydration, and stress management all feed into how your body responds. Masturbation is just one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture. But leaving it out completely removes a simple, natural tool your body already gave you for health and balance. Now, let's be real. Some men may feel uncomfortable even hearing this. Maybe you grew up in a generation where this topic was avoided. Or maybe you carry guilt about it. But here's the truth. Your body doesn't follow cultural rules. It follows biology. And biology says regular sexual release helps maintain health. At 50, 60, even 70 and beyond, you deserve to support your body in every way possible. That includes honoring your sexual health. So what's the takeaway here? If you're a man over 50, ignoring masturbation completely may lead to weaker circulation, lower testosterone, higher stress, and even more risk for prostate and emotional health issues. On the other hand, keeping it balanced, without shame, without guilt, helps you stay stronger, sleep better, and live with more confidence. Before we end, I want to leave you with this. Taking care of your health is not just about avoiding sickness.
It's about staying vibrant, staying sharp, and staying alive in every sense of the word. Sexual health is part of that. Don't neglect it. Don't bury it. Embrace it as part of your well-being. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend who might benefit from it.